What they're working on is a joke. If you somehow didn't see it yesterday, GG released this forum post of what they're working on. These posts usually mean probably something's gone wrong, and here's what we're going to do to fix it. They try to start off the note on a positive note, saying that the deployment was very smooth and no technical issues, which is nice, only a little bit of trouble for Europe, and that they reach a peak of 250k concurrent players, which I really wonder how many of them are still playing today. Today we've been processing feedback from the first 2 days of the league and blah blah blah, so they basically saw the backlash. First of all, they're starting with Arch Nemesis. They recognize that there's a big jump in difficulty and they're going to be tuning it down, and from another announcement that they made on 3.19.0c patch notes, they're reducing essence monsters life, the addition of life per essence, and they're actually going to stick to their words and put a cap in place so that only 2 modifiers can be encountered during the campaign, which was how they said it was going to be at the beginning. Don't forget this. They've not only hid information from us, they've straight up lied. And yes, I am upset because I really wanted to play this league, but there's no shot I'm going to do that when I was already struggling and finding leveling very annoying due to the campaign. Now I have to suffer with like 2 free links. That's a no from me, dog. Plus the arch nemesis modifiers and all that BS. Really annoying. Harvest, they're basically buffing a bit the life force that you get in lower maps, but not higher maps, which, hey, guess what? I've ran tier 16s to test things out. It still doesn't drop barely a thing. It's not even enough for one craft in tier 16s. Sure, I haven't spec'd into Harvest because I saw from other players how bad it was, even if you spec in it, even if you don't. But now I have my own experiences to like make sure that that's how it is. And that's how it is. It's poo-poo water. I don't want to swear, in case you haven't noticed. I'm doing my best here, doing my best. Like, if this is the only change you're doing to Harvest, you might as well not even have put this in. This is a joke. This is like, I don't know, a slap on the wrist. It should, at minimum, any Harvest you go into, at minimum, should be able to grant you, let's say, 3 reforges. And that's a very small amount compared to what we were getting last league. Or not just last league, every league before this, basically. These changes are literally a joke. And you want to know what's also really annoying about what they're saying here is that this was because in an effort to reduce the number of clicks after an encounter, the life force from beast below tier 3 had a non-guaranteed chance to drop, which means it was basically 80% it doesn't drop, 20% it does drop something, and it's small. Don't try to put the effort to reduce the number of clicks after an encounter. It's so BS. You know that's not what they're trying to do. They hate Harvest. Just delete it at this point. Like, why are you keeping it in the game, bro? Even Quinn, the guy who, if you need a reminder, has been asking for Harvest to be deleted for leagues now, is asking for buff to Harvest materials. It's just so insane that we have to deal with this. Next up, they're buffing Lake of Calandra rewards, which, well, I kind of doubt it's going to be impactful, because right now I saw plenty of clips of people opening rewards and all that, and it doesn't drop anything. Someone literally clicked Alt in a difficulty 10 Calandra zone, and there were 3 normal white items on the ground. 3! They're also investigating some Lake of Calandra, quality of life, blah blah blah. That's good. I'd rather this be done later and us having the changes that we want, that are good for the game. Like, let us actually be able to play your game. I don't know what they want, but okay. And here's the big fish, general item drops. Here they're basically doubling down on everything that we have complained about item drops and saying that this was intentional. And if this was intentional and it was a change that you knew right from the start that you wanted to make, why was it not in the patch notes? So many people bought supporter packs, bought MTX, bought all that, and supported Path of Exile, especially in light of what we were thinking that are going to be really good changes, and basically everyone got slapped, punched, and thrown out like a rebellious kid on his 18th birthday. They're also saying that this is partially offset by rare monsters in 3.19 now being more rewarding than they were before. This is bullshit. This isn't offset by rare monsters, because rare monsters, let me tell you what they drop stuff like this. This is exactly 17 Onyx amulets, and let me tell you, I picked them all, I identified them all, and they were all shit. Who could have guessed? They were vent trash. I picked them up for absolutely no reward. But hey, remember, they want to reduce the number of clicks, remember? And this is in general what these rare monsters drop, which are also more rare now and a lot harder. I saw someone just getting armor scraps and blacksmith west zones, and like, yeah, there was a lot of them, but it's not what you want to see. You don't need that many, you know? There's also someone dropping like 20 flasks or a lot of rare items which are going to usually be hidden on your filter, so you won't even see them or notice them. For example, on my filter they are hidden. And not only did they reduce the rate of rare monsters and blah blah blah, they removed a massive historic bonus to item quantity and or rarity that apply to some league specific monsters. We replaced it with a moderate 2 to 3 times increased item quantity to offset the fact that they often have more life than regular monsters and some cannot drop maps. So basically everything that adds monsters to your maps is now worthless, because all this increase to item quantity is compared to white mobs. White mobs don't drop anything basically, so having a 2 to 3 times increase to item quantity compared to white mobs is nothing. It's still going to drop nothing. 3 times 0 is 0. Also look at the wording. If 2 to 3 times the increased item quantity is moderate, how much is massive? How much did they actually nerf it? I'm really curious to see the numbers, but I don't think we're ever going to actually get them. There have been no other reward affecting changes that we are aware of, but we will investigate to see if there are any unanticipated consequences of some other change. I assure you, there are no other reward affecting changes. This is it. This is what they wanted. This is kind of like a bait to kind of get people to be hopeful, like they maybe will be fixing it, maybe do this or that. They won't. At least not for now, basically. Our intention with these changes is to modify certain league content that was out of line with other content so that it has a similar reward profile. These changes are important, but we understand that they reduced overall rewards that players receive. Yeah, by a massive amount. Because guess what? Most of the stuff that you drop are from league content. If you modify that league content to not drop stuff to get it in line with the base game, the one with no leagues in it, you're basically making everything worthless. Remember, the reason you are engaging with league content is not just because it's fun, it's because it's also rewarding. If it doesn't have any reward, it can be as fun as humanly possible, you're probably not going to do it, because it's laughing at your time. We are going to compensate elsewhere, no you won't, but we don't want to just increase the raw number of items that are dropped. Most items are immediately filtered out, we want to increase the number of relevant items that drop. That sounds cool and all, but you've been saying all this for the past few years, yet you've done nothing to improve that. Yes, of course everyone filters them out because they're worthless, they're vendor trash, you're basically never going to get anything useful. The chances of you getting something truly useful off the ground are lower than getting a mirror. They're going to adjust the system that skews weapon/armor base types towards higher level ones so the players fight items that are relevant for their level more often. Okay, so this is what you meant by relevant. Now, you see GGG, you can have all the bases you want. If you can't craft them or can't pick them up and have anything useful on them, you're still going to filter them out. Shocking, I know. This isn't an increase to overall item drops, yeah, clearly. It just means you'll find more appropriate rare items more often. So you'll just have a chance to get more bases. Great. Secondly, we're going to apply the same item consolidation approach we did to act bosses a few leagues ago to map bosses also. You'll now drop fewer items but substantially better rarity. This will result in you finding more unique items from map bosses, which is, I don't know, we're gonna have to see it. It sounds alright, but the changes for 3.19 sounded alright or even good, and look what we have now, you know? I can't be hopeful anymore. It's worth noting here that a widely shared clip of a player opening an Arcanist strongbox and receiving no items, I believe this was Ben, has caused some of the concern about potentially bugged item drops. We believe this was caused by the change where a common currency dropped less frequently but in larger stacks. No, this was strictly due to you nerfing item quantity and rarity all across the board, because this thing right here was never a problem until this league. Never a problem. And I know because I've always had strongboxes spec'd on my Atlas Reckless Street. These changes are not final. Yeah, they have numbers in another post, which I also have open and I read. It's basically the same thing but with numbers. I just think this was more thorough and that's why I chose to talk about this post instead of the other one. And they'll deploy changes separately as they're ready over the next few days, which, well, one we already got, and they said they will continue to monitor feedback and investigate more areas for adjustment and all that. Which, hey, guess what? No, they won't, because they already saw the storm that was Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, literally every single platform you could see something on or give an opinion or literally anything. Everything was on fire. Nobody likes these changes and they're doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on everything they do, which guess what? It's just going to kill the game that we all know and love. And yeah, I'm mad. I'm really mad because I love this game. And oh right, the post isn't done here. Guess what? They're also advertising their mystery box. What? After all these negative changes, after all the backlash, after every single thing, after everyone's on fire, everyone's hating on you and asking you to not kill the game basically, you're advertising your mystery box? Bro, how shameless do you have to be? So yeah, hey, and guess what? I hate being this negative, but there's nothing positive to talk about. Literally nothing positive. These changes won't do anything basically, because guess what? You can't make characters to do pretty much anything in this game unless you have item drops and currency to craft, or ways to craft in the first place. Which, hey, guess what? They killed Harvest too. Not just because of Life Force dropped, they also nerfed the craft. There's a post from some crafter where he goes really into detail on how they killed Harvest, from both the inability to use the crafts because of the really expensive prices and really low amount of Life Force dropped, and the changes they made to the crafts themselves and what crafts they removed. So yeah, I guess this is it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.